Alright guys, welcome back to the video. Let's, like as I promised in the last episode, we went over everything we wanted to do, and I kind of left off where we were going to design the plates for this, and we were going to head down to the shop and get them cut out so we can move on and get this all buttoned up and just minimal. So, if you watched the last video, cool. If you didn't, go check it out here, wherever YouTube puts it. I think it puts it up right here. But we've got our cool little template. It's a cardboard, but basically this has the measurements that I went over on here. Let me get that right there so you guys can see. And we're gonna head down to my manufacturing shop now, and we're going to cut this out in aluminum on the laser cutter. So let's go do that now. Alright, so you guys just saw the design and cutting. We saw the design of the first plate, which this plate right here will go here. And we've got a small cutout for wires to pass through for the connections up here on this side. And we've got our cutout right here for our two CPU connectors. And then we've got our larger cutout, which goes right here. Everything's all, oh, that wasn't mounted. So obviously that was going to happen. But we've got this right here, and we notched. What we did was we accounted for the fact that I may have to move the block. Let me see if this will stay. It's not going to be straight because I'm just going to hang it on these wires. Staying for the most part, but you can see that we notched these right here. This way I can move the block, water block up and down still. And then these notches right here are actually for the fill port and the drain port on the bottom of it, which I'll just run straight through. So what I still have to do is in the last video, I believe I mentioned it, but we got to take this bracket out here. I don't know if you can actually see that. Let me zoom in here. So we got to take this bracket out just back here. So I still got to notch that out. No big deal. That'll be quick. We got our cut here, and then the pump recesses right in here. The pump is only 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches, so we went ahead and made this 3 inches by 3 inches, so I should have some play here. What I believe I'm gonna do is just use double-sided stick tape to actually hold these plates down, and then I'll put the blocks on top. I'll make sure that everything aligns the way that I like it. Once it does, we have our background cover. So what we're gonna do right now is I'm actually going to mark where these go real quick while the motherboard's installed. This way I can, let me put that there, see if they'll stay without touching it. I think it will. This way I can get these all kind of lined up where I need them, and then I'm gonna put the double-sided stick tape in a few areas. I have to make sure I find some really thin double-sided stick tape, which I think I have, because I don't want any extra protrusion coming off here, because again, we are going to vinyl this whole back. So when we vinyl it, I don't want the vinyl to kind of sit. I was almost considering putting some kind of like extra something right there, but I don't think it'll be necessary. I don't think we'll see it. If I wrap the vinyl from here down and kind of get on top of it, we'll be okay. And then what we'll do is I will mark all of the holes that we actually need to utilize, such as the motherboard standoffs, these holes here, on the back of the vinyl with a white Sharpie. So I'm gonna take a white Sharpie and mark all those holes right now so I know which ones I need to poke through once we get the vinyl actually installed on here. And we'll go from there. Let's do that now. last we were working on this, we took the wings off. One of my screws in the wings, you did see that right. If you noticed in the time lapse, I know it went really fast. One of them did strip on the head, so I had to use some vice grips to get it out. No big deal. Pretty sure I have an extra one of those, otherwise I'm probably just going to replace all of those anyways to be safe. We've got the aluminum brackets set, and we ended up using some double-sided stick tape, so we've got them down. Everything's all good. We've got the whole board cleaned. I've got my holes marked on the back. I've got two that seem like they got a little stripped, but that's okay, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to, if these two are still stripped, I believe it was this one and this one, they still go in, but they won't turn out. It's almost like it's like a lock nut or something going on there. I think it's because I had to slightly bend it a little bit because it was slightly off, to be honest. Not a big deal. Once I get those in and I get the motherboard back secured on there, or at least got them in, and yeah. Once I got them in and have the motherboard secure, what I am going to do is, it feels very non-personable looking at you guys when I'm like explaining something. Once the motherboard is on there, I am correct. I'm going to JB weld the back of those prongs so that I know that they're nice and tight. This way I can get a nice tight. Jeez, what are the words, Chris, words. I don't even know. Get a tight screw down is what I'm trying to say. Get the screw tight on the bracket so it doesn't slip or turn. I don't know. I mean, I don't have anywhere else to re-drill or re-tap, and I can't go bigger or anything of that nature. The other thought that I could do is maybe put a small nut on the back of it. I might try that first before JB weld, but I know JB weld would be more than enough. You don't need a significant amount of torque on the motherboard screws in the first frickin' place, so as long as most of these are all actually tight and I've only got two that are like spinning, not a big deal at all. Can fix that really quick with just the fact that the other ones would be in place, and then JB weld will 100% hold those things in place if I can't find a small enough nut for those. But I'm pretty sure I do have a nut for them, so maybe we'll just nut them up, you know? Make it easy. Anyways, this is all good to go. Let me show you guys, finally, the background for that. Alright, so I had to put a hammer in place, but the moment you all been waiting for. This is the vinyl background that I designed, pretty glossy, for the back of the whole case. So I am going to start working on getting this thing lined up and taped to the corners and get it wrapped to the case. It is a little bit larger than the case and the actual side rails, so I have some cutting and fitment to do. But no worries, I had my boy print me 3 of these, so if I mess up, no big deal. We can just peel it off and start again. I did this on the original Apocalyptic build. That's what's actually back behind here. It is a different kind of background. I actually couldn't find the original art that I made for that because I was going to take that art and just modify it a little bit. But that is a radioactive symbol as well, just like this one ended up being a radioactive symbol as well. And then I've got the soldier in the back and cityscape, and then we've got a radioactive symbol up there. And so yeah, you will not be able to really fully make out what's behind here. Keep in mind you will be able to see most of this right here because of the clear see-through on the water block. You'll see probably just the top of the soldier's goggles peeking over the motherboard. You will see the radiation sign in the top left corner. So it's going to look cool. It's just something to contrast the rest of the build and to basically get rid of all those ugly holes and things we don't need. So it looks a lot better than looking at this, right? So I've got a lot of work to do as far as getting this on here. I'm not 100% sure I'm going to time lapse it. I might. Probably going to need my wife's help on some of this, just the way that I have to hold everything down and kind of get in here with an X-Acto knife and cut specific holes, such as right here. I'm going to have to cut out for the motherboard. So a lot of it's going to happen from behind in the holes that I need. I'm going to try to do things where I just make a slit right here for the block so that I could just slide it up and down. I'll obviously cut this entire piece out right here so that we've got all the room. I will probably also try to just slit this as well and just shove it through so that it kind of has like a backing to it. So yeah, I'm not 100% sure how it's going to turn out. I'm not going to lie. So it is what it is. I'm gonna start working on that, and let's see what happens. First attempt, 1 out of 3, but you know what? I don't think I'm disappointed with this. I expected some of this bubbling right here. We're going to cut a lot of this out right here. You can see that we've got kind of as I expected. The eyes of the soldier will be just over the motherboard. I know that because this is where the board sits flush against this piece here. I could probably take a heat gun and get this to come down a little bit more if I just hit it lightly, so I can get this nice and shaped. I can get these corners nice and shaped here, kind of get it flat, but not bad for the first go. Got a lot of reflection going on here, so I'm not disappointed with this at all. I think it actually looks pretty good, so I think we'll continue to move on. If I mess up on anything going forward, we might reskin the whole thing with another one and give a second shot. It looks pretty even for the most part. It might be slightly tilted that way, but I don't think it really matters. Again, this is more for a background effect, and I'm happy with it. Do a quick little update of the progress so far. We've got the motherboard back permanently mounted at this point, and we've just got two of the screws holding, whoa, camera. We've got two of the screws holding the block in place, but all of the front wire is done. There is one more hole right here that I need to cut. I'm probably going to use the grommet, although I'm trying to debate whether or not I'm just going to do like a little half moon and do part of it. I don't know if you guys can actually see that. But there's all the wires in the back. Everything's routed, just needs to be cleaned up. I did run into an issue where this would be the fill port and this is the drain port. Unfortunately, the parts that I have to extend out are not, I didn't cut these long enough for the EK pieces that go here. So I ordered a barb fitting for here and a barb fitting for here, and then I ordered a pass-through for the case, so I'll end up drilling a hole with a pass-through drain port hole, barb fitting, and then I'll just do soft tubing here, and then I will probably, for the drain port, because my OCD, I'll probably go over here and do tube from here to here, dead center, this way that the drain port is actually centered to the build itself. Yeah, so I ordered that. We are waiting for the EK block still for the 4090. Unfortunately, it still won't be here. It got back ordered until the 16th. We've got some parts that came in right here. The correct fittings this time, hopefully. So next we've got up the radiators and fans. So I'm going to work on that next, and then we will kind of mock up the wiring for that, and that should be all of the wiring ready to go. So then the rear case can go on and the wall mount brackets, but technically I gotta wait until I get from PC Performance parts for the soft tubing and the barb fittings for the drain and fill port before I can wrap up inside there. Yeah, getting close. Alright, there she is. Both rads are mounted and the fans are mounted. I ended up having to order some cables for the fans themselves, so I'm going to wait before I mount the other ones. But we pretty much have everything other than what I said we were waiting for from PC Performance parts, and then those cables. But yeah, that is everything right there. I went ahead and I'm starting to remember why I had ordered the 45 angle parts, because I think I wanted to 45 out right here instead of like 90s or straight tube. So we'll see what I end up doing. I'll either go straight off and then come over and in. We'll see. We'll get to the bending soon. I got to kind of map that out now that I'm actually seeing the angles here, and I also have to hold this thing up to a corner wall, probably like use that wall, get the perfect angles, measure, make sure they're both at the same degree on the left and the right fin, and then we will plan out the tubing and we'll start the tubing and the fittings. But yeah, I think that is a wrap for this video. In the next video I will just have the fill ports completed. I will have the cables figured out for the fans, which is the last of the cabling, and we will start essentially running the tubing for this guy. And again, still waiting for the block for the 4090, no big deal. So that will all be probably in the last video, and then a separate reveal video of everything running and everything completely up there. I am in the middle of editing this current video right now, so this was the last take that I needed to do. But yeah, that will wrap this one up for now. Stay tuned. It's been a long video, I know, but I showed a lot of the work that went into this to actually kind of just show the work that's going into a fully custom build like this. So let me know in the comments below if you guys like that, if you don't like that, whatever. You know, cool. If you made it this far, appreciate you, thank you. Twitch.tv/MrToX mate if you want to catch me live. I've started streaming a little bit again, but we will full go live again when Satisfactory drops on September 10th. And again, hopefully we will be on the new rig completely. Other than that, yeah, social, subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. Appreciate it. Peace.